Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Friday. Today we are going to be doing a review on the Natasha Denona palette. It's really like a review and first impressions and tutorial, swatches, and everything else. But we're going to be talking about the Natasha Denona Tropic Palette as well as the mini sunset palette that Natasha just released. These launched on the 8th, which when this video goes up will be yesterday. They're available at Sephora, Beautylish, and I believe the Natasha Denona website as well. So I'll leave a link down below for you guys on all the sites that they are available. But yeah, this is the look that I came up with for this video. I'm really excited because I feel like a lot of times, you guys know, I stay in like my neutral zone, and this palette has so many really like fun, unique shades. So I wanted to do something a little bit different and out of my comfort zone, and I hope that you guys like it. But yeah, really quick before we get started, if you're new to my channel, then welcome to my channel. Make sure before you leave, you do not forget to subscribe down below. That way you're notified for future videos from me. I do post 3 times a week. So Wednesdays, Fridays, and then mail hauls every single Monday. But I'm excited to jump into the tutorial and swatches and everything. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we are going to be testing out these eyeshadows, applying them, seeing how they perform. And when they sent over the package, here is how it came. It says Natasha Denona Summer of 2018 in this beautiful like tropic blue package. And as always, when you open it up, Natasha normally puts one of her eye looks like on one of the models. And this is so, so gorgeous. And of course, it's done with this palette. Okay, so here's what the palette looks like. It says Natasha Denona Tropic Palette on it. It has a blue casing. Okay, so one thing I will say is this is like a harder packaging than most of the Natasha palettes. Normally, they come in a softer package. I do really like this package. I think it's nice, sleek. It's a good size. It's not super thick. And so I actually prefer this packaging over her previous palettes. You also get a really nice size mirror, so this would be great to take on travel. And then on the sides, it kind of lifts up a little bit right here, and you have all of the eyeshadows. And another thing I will note, Miss Lola Lynn actually had mentioned this on her Snapchat. In the back, there are little teeny tiny holes. And these palettes apparently are magnetized. You can stick a pin in them and like pop them out. So let's try to do one, and let's pray that it goes okay. Yes. Okay. So I'm actually using a eyebrow brush, but just like that, you can pop them out. That was so easy. And as you can see, that's going to be what it looks like when you pop it out. And I do really like that because a lot of times I've tried to like depot stuff out of palettes to put in my kit, and then you end up like messing up the product or the pan or just making a hot mess. So I love that about this palette. But enough about the palette. Let's dig in, do some swatches, do an eye tutorial, and then I will give you guys like pros and cons at the end. Again, here's an up close of the palette before I destroy it. So here it is up close. Obviously lots of mattes, and then you also are getting some shimmers in there as well. So I don't even know what I want to go with. I want to kind of use like a ton of the mattes. So we are going to start with Peach Puff, which is the very first eyeshadow. I'm going to zoom you guys in. I have gotten quite a bit on my eyeshadow brush, and we are going in with this shade first, and we are just going to go back and forth in the crease. Now, one thing I will say is this doesn't really have a brow bone highlight shade. Okay, so there's that. It's like a really pretty like peachy shade. And I feel like it applied it a little bit darker right here. So that's just something to note. That just may be me. Okay, next we're going to go in with Fake Tan, which is just a like light matte brown shade. But I do want to put this in the crease just to kind of give it more of a warm effect. Oh yeah. I like how that color mixed in with that peach shade. So we're just going back and forth. First off, my lips, I don't even know what's going on. I feel like they're windburned slash like so chapped. But anyways, I'm not doing anything crazy tonight. So that's when I like doing these. That way we really can just like play with the colors. It doesn't really matter if like the look turns out to be 100%. Like I could go out and wear it somewhere because I'm really just trying to like test out these shades for you guys and see how they end up. I mean, so far you can see that all these shades are blending very nicely. They are very pigmented. And then one thing that's also nice is even like when you go in here, you aren't getting like a ton of powder kickback either. I feel like whenever Natasha Denona like first hit the US, everyone was raving about her shimmer shades. And I really feel like she's really stepped up the game on her matte shades as well. well. So next we're going to go in with Vintage Taupe, which is this light, almost like purple taupe color. I'm going to go in with the same brush because I just like kicked off most of the colors on it. We're just going to put this again in the crease, and you can even see a little bit of that color right there. It's not too bold where it's going to make a huge difference, but again, just trying to test some of these shades out. Honestly, that didn't make a bit of difference, but okay. All right, next we're going to go in with Sangria, which is like a muted berry shade. I'm so excited about this shade. And you can already tell, like, this looks like it's going to be really pigmented. I'm just going to, ooh, yeah, keep this right here in the outer corner. Just working that back and forth. A little teeny bit of fallout, but I also didn't tap off my brush. Okay, and I'm going to go back in with that very first brush that we used earlier and just kind of blend everything out. I think this palette would be a really good everyday palette that you could grab too, with so many really nice neutral transition shades and just like overall neutral looking shades. I really want to use the mint shade or the exotic shade. I have no idea how this is going to look, but I'm just going to try and we will see what happens. Do I have any kind of concealer around here? Okay, I'm going to go in with a little bit of soft ochre. Even though I never use this shade, I just want something to lay down as a base. Ooh. Such a bright shade. And I'm just like gonna smooth this in a little bit with my finger. So I just really want to use the mint frost shade. So we're gonna go with it. We're gonna try it. It is this like really pretty vibrant blue. Oh wow. I mean, do you guys see that already? I haven't applied any more product than what I just like first picked up. Wow, this is like insane. Okay, so there's that. I'm just, again, trying to use a bunch of different shades for you guys. I'm going to put a little bit of Painterly on this eye. So there's that so far. Oh my gosh, this is just so crazy pigmented. Let's see what we want to go in with next. You know, let's try using some of the exotic shade, which is like this really pretty, like aqua teal green. Let's see what that looks like in the outer corner. Obviously isn't normally like a standard look that I would do, but I'm trying to get a little bit more out of my box here lately, and I'm really just like pushing it into the side and layering it. Hopefully you guys can see on top of the mint frost. I actually really like this green. So pretty. Now we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm gonna go back in with Sangria, which is that like berry shade. I'm gonna darken the outer corners with it. I'm going to apply a little bit of mascara on the top. Okay, so then I'm going to go back into that exotic shade, the really pretty like teal shade. And I'm going to go underneath my eyes with it to give this look like even more of a pop. And I can even get in there just a little bit more on the sides with this. I want to darken up the look. And then just to smooth that a little bit, I'm going to take a little bit of a lighter shade and run it underneath. Again, very different from what I would normally do. And then I'm going to throw on some mascara. Okay, so of course, this is the final look. I feel like I really do like this look, and it's very far out of my comfort zone. I wanted to use a lot of like the bright and bold shades, as well as like the neutral shades for the mattes, but I really do like this. I feel like it would look even better with a tan, because you guys know I'm always wanting to be more tanner than I am, and I haven't been self-tanning. But anyways, I do really like the way the look turned out. I feel like all the shades were really blendable, and again, I feel like Natasha has really been stepping it up with her matte shadow game. A lot of people know her for her metallic shades, but I really like the mattes too. So let's go through this palette. Let's swatch the shades, and I'll go through my pros and cons. So the first shade that we have is Peach Puff. And again, Peach Puff is like that really pretty, like peachy shade. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a peach shade. And then you have Sangria, which is a really pretty berry shade. Again, look how pigmented these mattes are. Then you have Fake Tan, which I also used, and it's a really pretty like all over transition shade. And then you also have Cocoa, which is a darker brown shade. Now, these are 4 shades in the top row, and I'm going to swatch them. But like, look how just pigmented they are. I mean, it only takes one little swipe to get a lot of pigmentation, and really, like, even when you're using them on the eyes, they're still just as pigmented. And then the very last shade in the palette is called Sahara, and it's a little bit different than Fake Tan, but also a little bit more similar. This is more of like a caramel shade, I would say, than this one right here in the middle. But yes, this is the first row, a row that you can really gravitate toward for everyday looks and really like nice natural looks. Okay, next row you have Nudist, which is a really pretty light pink shade. You have Vintage Taupe, which is almost like a taupey purple. Whenever you swatch it though, it does look a little bit more of like a grayish brown shade. You have Pastel Melon, which is another like peachy shade, but it's a lot lighter. And then you have, I believe you pronounce this Goosty. I'm not exactly sure, but it is the first shimmer in the palette. And I picked up quite a bit of these shades, so there is a little bit of powder fallout, and that's just because of how much I picked up on my finger. You can see very, very pretty shade. I feel like the formula is almost a little bit different because I feel like some of these are more like duochromy, just like this one. That is so, so pretty though. And then the very last one is called Limoncello. It is a yellow shade. This one is like super buttery. Look at that. That would even be pretty as a highlight. Yes, look at that. Really, really pretty. So here is the next row, and sorry, let me give you guys a close-up of that. Sorry I didn't do that for the first row. And then the very last row in the palette I feel like are really your bold shades. So you have Mint Frost, which is that really pretty mint shade on my eyes. You have Exotic, which is that really pretty teal shade. Laguna, which is so bold, bright, and beautiful. This would look so, so stunning underneath the eyelids too. And then you have Tiger Lily, which is like a really bright cobalt blue. I went pretty bold and big with those swatches. So there are those. And then the last shade you have is going to be like a lavender purple. Okay, so this is the very last shade, and this is Xena. And there, that is a swatch. So this is the very last row, and here's a close-up of that. I didn't have enough time to do this for this video, but I am going to try to start doing like up close, like individual shots of each shade in the future for you guys, just so that way you can see like up close and personal. But yeah, this row is so stunning and just makes me want to do so many different colorful looks. So let's go through like pros and cons of the palette. So when I first saw the palette, I wasn't really like super hyped up about it. And the reason why is because, one, for me, like when you see photos of this, for some reason, this is like a hot pink, but it looks red in some of the photos. And I don't know, I feel like just the overall color scheme threw me off because I'm like blue and red packaging, and then you have like light shades and like, you know, different bold shades. I don't know. I just wasn't like falling in love like I normally do with Natasha palettes. Once I got this in the mail and I saw it in person, I did really love the palette. I think that it's a lot different than a lot of the palettes that she's came out with. And one of the main reasons being is that it does have so many different mattes. I know like the first shadows she ever came out with, the big 28 pan palettes, those are mostly all solely shimmer shades or like metallic full shades and barely any matte shades. And so for this being mostly matte, again, it is a lot different to see from Natasha. So I'm pretty sure I saw online that what she said is the way she set this up is that you can go down each row, and these are all going to be like color selected, so you can pair them all together. I love that with Natasha, since she is a makeup artist, she like really takes into consideration pairing stuff and really helping out people, because if you're a beginner, you know, having palettes that are already pre-planned for your color palettes are really helpful. I know when I first started doing makeup, I would just get so overwhelmed with like what to pair with what. So yeah, I really do like that. I also love the fact that this palette is like a harder pan. That's a big pro for me. And then also that you can pop them out on the back. Oh my gosh, look at all the fingerprints. I love that you can pop them out on the back though, because especially for makeup artists, if you want to like pop out all kinds of shadows and put them in different palettes or Z palettes or Makeup Forever palettes or whatever, you can. And overall, I feel like the palette performed just like a Natasha palette, very high quality as normal. Now, one thing I'll say for cons that I think a lot of people are talking about is this palette actually contains less than most of her other palettes, and it is still around the same price range at $125. $25. I haven't really looked a lot into this, so let me know in the comments if you know below, but I think that I saw a comment saying that she changed up some of the ingredients, which made it weigh a little bit less. These are 1.5 grams, and you get 15 different ones. And again, they're still big size palettes. I know some of my palettes don't even have this much in one eyeshadow, so for me, it's not really a con. I just wanted to put that out there because, of course, you know, if you guys are looking into it, the weight of the palette does change. But other than that, you know, if you don't gravitate toward these kind of colors, of course, that's going to be a con. If you don't think that you're going to use all them, this is a lot of money to spend. But what I will say is the mattes, they perform really well, and I feel like you could wear them every day, where these at the bottom, probably not going to wear these every day. So it really just depends. If you think it's worth it to have basically 2 rows of mattes, for me, I love having more matte shades in a palette. So yeah, it basically just depends on your preference. Again, if these are shadows that you're going to gravitate toward, then I would definitely recommend picking it up. I think it is like a fun, different palette. We see so many palettes these days where we're like, oh my gosh, another warm palette, or another this, another that. So many makeup brands are coming out with this kind of palette. And I feel like Natasha is always just switching it up and coming up with so many different ideas and designs and color palettes, and I personally am really excited that she is making different palettes. Speaking of different palettes, really quick, she did come out with the mini sunset palette. These items were sent to me in PR, and I'm so thankful to be on the Natasha Denona PR list. I mean, honestly, it's like a dream because she is one of my favorite brands. Oh my gosh, look at that blue in my middle finger. Okay, so these have 5.02 ounces in them, and this retails for $25. This is a new little mini palette that she came out with. Oh my gosh, I think it's totally worth it because also you can use this for travel, and it's definitely going to go with me in my travel bag. But you guys, the pigmentation in these are just freaking gorgeous. So let me swatch them for you. Okay, my thumb's like way too big to be doing swatches. So here are all the shades in this palette. This is called the Mini Sunset. Okay, so here is that palette swatch. Now, if it were me and you weren't wanting to break the bank on splurging on a Natasha palette, this is definitely the way to go. Like I said, it's $25. You get 5 different shades. They're gorgeous. And I mean, how often do we use up a complete full eyeshadow shade? So definitely recommend checking that one out as well. And yeah, as always, I love you guys. Give me a thumbs up if this review was helpful. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. But what I'll say is, you know, this palette I don't think is going to be for everybody. It is fun. It's unique. Oh no, I scratched the top a little bit. Whee! Now, one thing that I really like about this packaging, oh, I can't even speak. Hey guys, so today we are going to be, okay, so you also get, oh, look, you can see me filming. I was sent these in PR through, and this palette, okay, and so for this, again, it is, again, I think it's also awesome. It's not my favorite Natasha palette, but I do really like it, and I feel like the shades are up to quality with the Natasha standard on her palette. So yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.